Welcome to Exclusive Gospel 2.2, which is titled, What is Wrong with Me? I know you're probably already beginning to get defensive, saying, wait a minute, nothing's wrong with me. But I want you to understand that we're all in the same boat. The point of this whole chapter is that the gospel saves us. We cannot save ourselves. Sometimes before we appreciate the good news, we must understand the bad news. The bad news is that we cannot save ourselves. Any other religion, any other teaching out there teaches us what we must do, what we must become, what is necessary for us to do in order for us to reach heaven. Although all those things may sound good, it could be a moral checklist to kind of keep us accountable and justify ourselves with others, but we cannot save ourselves. We'll never reach heaven. The difference between what we preach and what everybody else teaches is that heaven himself disposed himself of all of his glory and came down to earth, came down to this pit of hopelessness, of this place that nobody can save themselves, and came and rescued us. That's the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. But until we fail to realize that we need somebody to save us, Christ can never be our Savior. The problem is that sometimes we don't take sin that seriously. We must understand that the whole purpose of us being created is what we miserably fail at. We were all created to worship God, to give God glory, to honor him with our life, with our talents, with our gifts, with our abilities, with everything that our life possessed. We were given this life to give him honor and glory. But since we were created to worship, we sadly choose to worship creation more than its creator. We fail to realize that it's the creator, the one that made us, that deserves all of our worship, all of our attention, and all of our life. But what we've done of ourselves is that we either worship ourselves, we worship our job, worship our family, worship so many other things this life has to give, except for the one that gave us life, except for the one that says, I am the life. I am the way, the truth, and the life. And nobody goes to the Father. Nobody can save themselves. Nobody can have eternal, everlasting life unless it's through me. The other day, our church had a winter festival, and we brought some petting zoo. We brought some small animals for the children. My son just turned 1 year old, and he couldn't help, but he was amazed at the little duck that would open up his little beak. But poor duck, whenever my son got close to him, he started grabbing his beak and holding it tight. And even somebody took a picture and put it up on Facebook saying how my son was pretty much bullying this animal. Now, if my son thinks he can treat that little duck the same way that if he were to be in front of a lion, he would get a whole completely different result. Many times, depending on how helpless, of how ignorant we may be of a reaction or of a consequence, we like to do certain things. We allow certain things. We tolerate certain things. My fear is that the problem that we have done is that we've lost the fear of a holy and righteous God. We fail to realize that our life was fully made, and its sole purpose is to bring honor and glory to his name, to worship him more than a song, more than a weekly service, but to worship him with all of our life. And just like my son would treat a lion, hopefully, would treat a lion much differently than he would a small, helpless little animal. It's the same way many times we must realize that who we're dealing with is not just some other little person. It's not just some little object, but it's a holy, perfect, righteous God. And so what's wrong with us is that sin, our failure to worship God himself. Instead, we've chosen to worship creation. We've chosen to live for ourselves, to love other things. And its fruit, just like last week or the last session, is sin. We must know that our life should be fully committed, fully devoted, in all complete worship of Jesus Christ alone.